Welcome to the Peace Over Pain podcast with Dr. Kevin Reese, where we examine the body as a whole unit and move people from health burdens to health miracles. So get your questions ready, because the show starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the Peace Over Pain podcast. It is August what is today? August the 20th. It's my mother's birthday, August 20th, 2022. And I'm your host, Joe LaChance. I'm here with the author of Peace Over Pain, Dr. Kevin W. Reese. Welcome, Dr. Reese. How are you today?
I'm good. Can we get that? There it is. Yeah.
I did hit it.
I'm happy to report that now on a past episode, I mentioned that my arsenic was high.
Oh, okay.
And I'm happy to report that I just got new labs and it's way down. So this is the beauty of clinical nutrition and always testing, because I went from a 61 to an 8.
Wow.
But
now,
what
do you think that is?
It took 6 months for the arsenic to leave my body.
How do you think you got arsenic in your body?
I was eating too much rice.
Rice has arsenic in it. It can accumulate. Right. Okay. See, an interesting fun fact. People don't fill up on that rice. And if you want to kill somebody, put a lot of rice in their food. But anyway, so that's good news, Kevin. And it is true. I and both of us had issues with CRP, and we both cleared our CRP up within 6 months, doing the same thing with clinical nutrition. So,
right, that's right.
It does work. So, all right. So after an eventful week today, I think this is our first week in a new time slot. So we wanted to give the people a serious topic that they can sink their teeth into. So today we're going to talk about gut health, Dr. Reese.
Yeah.
And this is obviously an issue that is near and dear to my heart, because, as you know, gut health seems to be one of the things that I have chronically suffered from for quite a while. It's been a journey from how it started, how it began, and then how it gradually got worse and became chronic.
Yeah.
So, and I do notice, Kevin, that young people, this didn't happen to me till I got old. Young people these days, I'm seeing them on social media complaining and talking about the kind of gut issues that they're having nowadays.
Yep.
And I see a prevalence of it among the society in general, that this seems to be one of the major issues that people suffer from these days. And it's because gut issues, I think, is a very broad topic, because it can come in many, many forms, as you know, that they diagnose.
Mm-hmm. So
with that being said, tell us a little bit about the different gut issues, how the gut works, and how do these chronic gut issues come about?
So I think it's really important to start with the fact that this is a root cause to a lot of disease. In fact, I would say it's the number one root cause of most biochemical chronic conditions.
I agree.
And with blood sugar issues being number 2. So what happens is, when our gut isn't doing what it's supposed to do, it's very hard for the body to absorb nutrients. So even if you're taking our 90 essential nutrients and eating correctly and staying off the port 4 and stuff like that, if your stomach is still bad, you're still going to have trouble and become nutrient deficient because you're not absorbing. Not to mention, I mean, it just brings on so many symptoms, rashes, rashes in the, anyone with rosacea, um, acne on the chin, autoimmune disease, someone that gets sick a lot, more if you have a cold more than once or twice a year, there's something wrong.
Bloating.
Bloating. I mean, those are the obvious ones: the bloating, the irritation, the heartburn, things like that.
Constipation, diarrhea between back and forth. You never know.
That's right.
And you don't know what to eat. You start developing food sensitivities that you never had. Things that you used to be able to eat comfortably, you can no longer tolerate.
That's right.
And they give it so many different names. There's Crohn's disease, there's IBS, there's colitis, there's diverticulosis, which is the one I was diagnosed with. I mean, the list goes on and on of the different conditions that they can diagnose with your gut. But the bottom line comes to that either one portion of your digestive system is not functioning properly. So your digestive system, correct me if I'm wrong, has many components in it. Has the stomach, the liver is part of the digestive system, the kidney is part of the digestive system, the pancreas, the colon, the large, small intestine, the rectum, all that is part of the digestive system. And I'm sure I missed a few, correct?
So what happens is, first of all, digestion starts in your mouth.
Their mouth, right.
So if you're not breaking food down, or if you're not chewing properly, that could bring issues, certainly. So you chew your food, it goes down the pipe called the esophagus, and then it lands into a tank called the stomach. This is where you make it or break it, literally. Because if you can't break down the food in the stomach, now you're going to create long-term issues as this keeps happening.
Right.
And this is the main component of gut issues.
Right.
Your stomach is supposed to be the same pH as battery acid. And if it's not, then it can't digest the food properly, especially if you're eating fats. And then now you got chunks going down into your small intestine. And not only are you not breaking it down, but now it can slip out if your intestines aren't strong, which means you have a nutritional deficiency. If they're not strong, which would be a soft tissue deficiency, then it goes out, and this is called leaky gut or dirty blood. And then it goes into your system, and then the body thinks there's invaders, and then that's where autoimmune comes from: lupus, rheumatoid, endometriosis. The list goes on and on and on. And so the problem, Joe, and I think a big reason why we've seen gut issues go through the roof over the last 10 years is because the plant-based movement. And obviously me and you were both vegan for a very long time. But the problem is, when you take meat, dairy, and whatever out of your diet, you're now training your gut to not have to break stuff down. Basically, it's what we call the microbiome. That's the environment of the gut. Your body is designed to break things down. The more alkaline you eat, the more alkaline your stomach gets, and then you can't break stuff down anymore. And salt, a big problem. If you're not consuming enough salt, you're not creating enough acid, because salt creates acid in the stomach. And so the baby boomer generation is all messed up now in their 60s, 70s, and 80s because doctors told them salt is bad, salt is bad, fat is bad, salt is bad, fat is bad. And so we see this with the baby boomer generation a lot. And the new vegan generation is going to be very messed up going into their 30s, 40s, 50s. Because you're getting people going vegan at, 16, 17 years old now. And it's going to be a problem with digesting. So here's the thing. So you need your stomach, which is right here by the abdomen, the top of the abdomen. That's the part that breaks down the food, right? That's what needs to be battery acid. And if anyone ever wants to check that out, just go get some white vinegar, some white distilled vinegar, throw it in a cup, throw a chicken wing in there, because white distilled vinegar is as close to our stomach acid as anything that's consumable. Apple cider vinegar as well. That's why apple cider vinegar is a great natural solution for breaking down food. You have a little bit after your meal. Now, you don't need it with fruits and vegetables, right? So we have this whole movement out here, Joe. Everyone's like, alkalize, alkalize, alkalize. You got to alkalize. You got to alkalize. No, you don't. Your stomach is designed to be like battery acid. Now, here's the interesting part. After it leaves the stomach, then it goes into the intestine, the small intestine, right?
Yeah.
Now, from there, the liver and gallbladder, mostly the gallbladder, but the liver is kind of the boss of the gallbladder. It releases bile, the yellow stuff. Bile is alkaline. So the bile from the gallbladder now takes that acidic breakdown and alkalizes it. So what I'm saying is the myth of meat and dairy and whatnot making you acidic is not true. But if your gallbladder and liver aren't doing what they're supposed to do, then you're putting acidic food into your intestines, and this is going to burn up your intestines. And this is where you end up with diverticulosis or diverticulitis, etc., right? And also, again, leaky gut. If you're burning holes in your intestines, So there's a lot that go into play, like you were saying earlier. There's enzymes. There's all this magic happening in this machine. And if it's working properly, there's no problems. But
Right.
if you're eating too alkaline, like I love fruit. I'm a big advocate of fruit. Huge advocate. And they're forever more important than vegetables. But if you go on an all fruit diet, you will alkalize your stomach. And that's not good. Right?
Yeah, I know. I did it. I did it. So this is, like you say, I was diagnosed with diverticulosis. And I can tell you, Kevin, I may be a unique case because in 2003, I had my gallbladder removed. Thank you, medical monopoly. Now I hear that there are natural ways to cleanse your gallbladder.
Right.
So the medical monopoly talked me into an operation that they told me was absolutely necessary. There was no way to get those stones out of my gallbladder. Right. Now, I would say 5 years later is when I started to develop the diverticulosis. So my gallbladder, like you say, which is supposed to alkalize the food coming out.
Your surgery was the prelude to your diverticulosis.
Absolutely. And people ask me, well, how could that be? How could that be? And I have to explain to them because of the acid. Now, granted, the liver will release the bile and do it, but the gallbladder is like a regulator.
The liver has 400 functions.
Right.
So it's just like with cholesterol. If you're not eating enough cholesterol, then the liver has to do more work. Same thing. If you don't have a gallbladder, the liver has to do more work.
Right.
So you're putting your liver in jeopardy.
And so combine that with going vegan. So I'm all alkalized, right? And then I'm not neutralizing my acid. It screwed everything up in there.
Yep.
And again, this is the medical monopoly. Had they never removed my gallbladder, this probably would have never happened. So I've had to deal with these issues. Almost every one you've talked about: the lack of acid, the lack of enzymes, the lack of probiotics, all because that one piece of my digestive system, that one little piece, they tell you it's not important, is missing. And,
Right.
you know, and all right, so we kind of got the mechanics of it. It starts with the mouth, and I think we got to reiterate, it is so important to chew your food.
Yeah.
Chew the crap out of everything you are eating, because the saliva in your mouth contains enzymes. And that is the step one, if I'm not mistaken, to breaking down your food.
Yes.
So saliva and chewing, step one of food breakdown.
And you know how we mess up that?
Water.
People that drink while they're eating.
Oh, yes. I make it a habit never to drink while
You watch
I'm
most
eating.
people, they eat, they drink. They eat,
Yeah.
they drink. You go to a restaurant, you'll see it. They're messing up their enzymes because the water is diluting the enzymes.
Right.
You don't want to drink while you're eating unless you're taking your supplements, but that's a quick one go, you know. But yes, it starts in the mouth, comes down the esophagus, then boom, up here in the tank that we call stomach, and that's where it needs to be, like battery acid. And we have a nutritional exam, we call them N-rays here at the clinic, and Coach Amber runs them with people, and we actually have a stomach acid test. And so and I won't go into details here, but we run someone through a very quick exam, and we can tell if their stomach acid is low.
Okay.
And if it is, the best way to get it up is going to be salt.
Right.
Salt. Good quality salt, of course.
Right. Yeah. Interesting enough, whenever I go for my blood test, because I do them every 6 months like you do, I'm pretty good on all my levels, but the one level that we cannot seem to get up is sodium.
Yeah.
And no matter how much salt I eat, I keep eating a ton more salt, it's sodium.
Yeah.
And so that tells me that I don't have enough acid in my stomach.
Correct.
Now, so here's the thing. How can we counteract? Like, once we know we have these gut issues, right? Whether the doctor, diagnoses it, or whether you self-diagnose, you have gut issues. Okay. What is the first step in starting to correct some of these things? Because it's a process. I can tell you right now from experience, it is a process, because you are like repairing damage. It's not like preventative, where you're starting out with a clean slate and you're just trying to keep it that way. So it's more like you crash your car and you got to fix all the dents plus whatever you did to the motor, and it takes time to get that car back to the original condition. Yeah. And this is the same thing. You got to do it step by step. So what's step number one?
We have a gut protocol. And as you know, in the book and everywhere in this clinic, we always say, get off the poor 4 foods. That's the most important thing, is to get off the poor 4 foods. But if you have a gut issue, there's 8. There's a port 8. So on top of gluten, oil, fried, and fake, and we haven't even talked about gluten yet, at least in this episode.
No.
So on top of getting off gluten, oil, fried, and fake, you also need to get off of lactose, lectins, grains, and nuts/seeds.
Okay. So now lectins. A lot of
Lectins
people
are,
don't know what lectins are. Tell people what they are.
yeah, so it's a plant defense system. Plants actually are defended. You know, they don't have claws and teeth like animals do. So they release compounds to
Right.
try to protect themselves, and plants are no different. So lectins are one of those, and they're typically in beans, they're in tomatoes, they're in all the nightshades, and that goes into your body and it can mess up your gut. Now, it's fine if you don't have gut issues,
Right.
but if you have gut issues, you come off of that. Grains, hard to digest.
You're talking rice, quinoa, things
Yeah.
like that, right? Really hard. I agree. And that's from experience as well. Unless you chew them. I mean, you want to chew them, that's fine. Like cream of rice might be all right.
They're so small. You're going to see rice, and especially quinoa comes right out in the toilet.
Trust me, I know. It's like making sandpaper. I learned that. Nuts. You're talking because of the obvious texture of them, the coarseness. That was the first thing the doctor told me to get off when I was dying. That's one thing the medical monopoly tells me, right?
Yeah.
Nuts, stay away from nuts and popcorn and seeds. And that was it.
Yeah.
So, and that makes sense. But of course, so you got to give up popcorn. You got to give up peanuts. You got to give up those kind of things. If you want to eat them, it's not the fact that there's anything in them there's bad for. You can have nut butters, right? I mean, you can have that kind of stuff. So more of this is about the texture, right?
Yeah.
And except the lectins, which, and like you say, beans.
They're inflammatory.
Right.
Lectins are inflammatory. And what's the first thing that's going to get inflamed? It's going to be your gut.
Your gut, where you put it in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And so now lactose, that's found in milk pretty much. Dairy.
Yeah, it's all dairy except butter.
If you clarify the butter, there's milk fats in there unless you clarify it.
Butter has very little lactose.
Right.
And ghee has none.
Right. Right. Well, ghee is clarified butter.
Yeah.
And
ghee also doesn't have casein, just an extra point in there.
Oh, right. Right. So, okay. So lactose, lectins. What was the fourth one?
Grains and nut seeds.
Okay. So we covered them all. And that just makes sense.
So, that's step one is, excuse me, to get off those 8 foods.
So it starts with diet pretty much. So garbage in, garbage out, right? You got to start with the beginning.
So that's hard for a lot of people. And then step 2 is going to be getting on a supplemental protocol. Of course, the 90 essential nutrients. So you can be topped off every day. And we have other products for the gut that, start to repair it.
Right. So you would say, let's say somebody's just starting out, they don't have a ton of money, and they can't afford the supplements right now. Start with the diet.
Yep.
Start with what is going into your mouth.
And salt.
Salt.
You need salt. Even if you're eating fruit, put some salt on. Get some high quality salt.
Right.
Pink Himalayan or Celtic or something like that, and get it on everything. And then you can have some salt water in the morning. That helps too.
Small amount. If you don't want to do a flush every day.
Every other day.
Those things are rough.
For a month or two, it would be a good idea just to start acidifying your stomach.
And you show how to do a saltwater flush in the book, correct?
Or we talk about it. We don't really show it.
Okay. Well,
that's something that people would talk to Amber about.
Yeah. And there's ways to do that. So first step, get your diet straight, because that's probably how you got into this mess in the first place. Mm-hmm. Second would be get your nutritional profile up to where it should be. Now, do you recommend taking a blood test first? Like, so you kind of know where your baseline start is?
I always recommend getting labs done, but we can tell what's going on with our NRA exam
Right.
by using the science of symptomology.
Right, right. So you would get on and start fixing your nutritional health. And now here's something that is a big topic these days: enzymes, probiotics. They're a very important key to your digestive system.
Mhm.
Probiotics live in your gut and they help they comprise your microbiome.
Yeah.
And enzymes, if they're not in the saliva, are actually secreted by the pancreas, right?
Mm.
This is why the pancreas and diabetes is also, it also does insulin as well, if I'm not correct, right? So the pancreas is really key, and it's a very small organ. So if the pancreas is not producing enough enzymes for the stomach, that could be a start of why you're not breaking down food properly, right? So how do we, besides, how do we lose enzymes? How do we lose probiotics? How you know, because we're born with them, our body is naturally supposed to make them. How does it get to the point where your body stops producing the right amount of enzymes, stops with the probiotics? What causes this to
The poor four foods.
poor for foods? And the fact that I think a lot of people don't realize there are a lot of foods out there that contain natural enzymes that we used to depend on to aid our digestion.
Pineapple.
Pineapple, there's quite a few with enzymes, papaya, quite a few with enzymes in it. And I think because the food chain now has been so depleted with nutrition, people who were expecting to get enzymes from their food, probiotics from their food, are no longer getting it. They're just not
Yeah.
getting it the way we used to.
And of course, there's probiotics in yogurt, sauerkraut is a
Right.
big one, kefir,
Right. Kimchi.
kimchi. Yeah.
Right. So there are ways to start replacing these things
Yep.
you can not only take from your
Well,
diet.
we always put on our protocol, we're always putting people on enzymes and probiotics unless they have SIBO.
What is SIBO?
That's when you have an overgrowth of bacteria in your small intestine that's underneath the stomach. And what happens is that pushes it. It's almost like heartburn, but down here. It pushes the bacteria back up to the stomach, and it's very bloaty.
Oh, okay.
So SIBO, aka SIBO, many people call it SIBO. We wouldn't do probiotics. We would do enzymes, but not probiotics.
Because there actually is too much bacteria in there.
Correct.
Right. And I think this is important to point out. A lot of people, when they get infections, whether it be a gut infection, a tooth infection, are put on antibiotics.
Yeah.
Now, if you're smart, you see there's anti and pro. So antibiotics, while they will kill an infection, they not only kill the infection, they kill everything in your gut.
Now, this is a good thing here to talk about. First, before I make my point, I got a few comments here. Taylor says, I was vegan for 8 years. There's no lie in these statements. Tina says, I feel you, Joe. They took half my pancreas and my spleen. And also, Tina asked, can you have yogurt with the Port 8 though? No. Yogurt wouldn't be in the Port 8.
They do make plant-based yogurt now from almond milk, coconut milk. So
what I wanted to say is we have this product that is so revolutionary in our dispensary, and we use it in gut protocols. It's called I26, hyperimmune egg. What they do is, this has only been around, it's been around for 40 years. It's only been sold for 25 years. They inject chickens with 26 strands of bad bacteria, pathogens. It doesn't harm the chicken, but then the chicken lays eggs that are immune to those 26 strands. Then they break it down to a powder, and then they can give it to humans. So now you take this I26 in your supplement. It's not nutrition. It's, for a lack of better, it's very much like the jab, but it's not the jab, but it's the same concept where you're putting something immune. You're making yourself immune. So this goes into the gut and it starts killing those 26 pathogens that you may have in your gut. And this is huge, especially for people with autoimmune like lupus, rheumatoid, endometriosis, etc. And this I26 is very powerful. And so we have that in our gut protocol, and our baseline protocol that we put everyone on. There's a smaller dose of I26 in one of our gut products. And so that combines with the probiotics and the enzymes, and it regulates everything. So this I26 is like magic.
Yeah, I checked into that. You can talk to Amber about that if you're interested in any of the things we talk about, enzymes, probiotics, get in touch with Amber. She can hook you up with the dispensary and all the different things that we offer. So that's very, very important. And there is also, I know that they also have a microbiome special supplement as well.
That's
correct?
actually what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's
Ultimate Microbiome has a half dose of I26, and then it has enzymes and so it's 3-in-1 product.
Right.
That's that's why it's in the baseline.
Right. You know what I would like is to get a hold of a couple of them chickens and eat those eggs. That might be forget the powder. Give me some poached immune chicken eggs. But
It's
all right.
And they make chewables too for kids, which is cool. And they have them for dogs and cats too.
Well, I think it's important that people understand how this actually works and why you need so many, people are always saying, why do I need probiotics? Why do I need enzymes? Why do I need all these different things? Because all these different things are supposed to be in your body naturally. Your gut is a complex system. So if they're not in there naturally and your body is not producing them naturally, then you have to do something to jumpstart your body and get it going.
Not to mention someone could have parasites.
There's another gut issue, right?
And so
which we all almost do, correct?
Then we got to go into cleanse mode.
Right. And then you're talking a whole nother thing. There's a lot of, I know people use activated charcoal. There's a million different ways to cleanse your body. I know you have a certain protocol. And you know what? We
got a gallstone one too, by the way.
They're gone already though, bro. They took them away. I wish I knew about it back in 2003. So, all right. So we know why you get it. We know how you can start to repair the damage that has already been done. So is there anything else like exercising, the postural exercises, right? Yes. People don't, your gut could be, your colon could be a little misplaced because of the way you stand. So that's another component people don't understand is the physical, actual way you use your body can affect your digestion. I know on my postural protocol, there are specific exercises in there for the gut, So that's another key thing. And of course, the mindset too, because I know from personal experience that when you're feeling bad in your gut, it affects your entire life.
There is it's been proven in science that the brain is connected to the gut.
Right,
So if your gut is messed up, it alters your mood.
right, right.
And as far as what you were talking about with posture, absolutely. You have organs going on. And if your musculoskeletal system is rotated or elevated or whatever's going on, it can absolutely alter your gut and
Right.
especially your pelvis.
Right.
Especially your pelvis. If your pelvis is tilted or up. And so we see a lot of progress with gut health when people do static back. You get into static back, one of our corrective exercises, and you'd be surprised. All of a sudden, your stomach starts
You
gurgling.
could poop afterwards, dude. I've had it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and that's the way your body moves too. So it's again, it's the same thing like anything you're trying to, any chronic illness that you're trying to work with. There are many components: body, mind, nutrition, the whole thing. It's the same three that we talk about.
And we also have a product called Cleanse FX, and it's got triphala in it. Triphala is an ancient herbal formula, and you pop 1 or 2 of those about an hour before bed because it takes like 12 hours to kick in. So you want it to happen the next morning, right? And boom, if anyone has constipation or you're just feeling like you need to cleanse out that colon,
what's the name of that?
you got it. Cleanse FX.
I'm writing that down. That'll be on my next month's order. All right, Cleanse FX. All right, Kevin, I know there is a ton of this that we could cover. I mean, we could go into days. We can go into each particular diagnosis, but we also have some interesting things, a lot of things, a lot of questions from people that I wanted to get into. We have about 20, 25 minutes left. So let's after this short break, get into some questions you got from Instagram and a little bit of controversy you've been stirring up.
Have you read Peace Over Pain yet? This short but powerful book reveals how to eliminate chronic pain and or illness faster than any other known therapeutic approach. Download the Peace Over Pain book for only $4.95 and gain instant access to the ebook version, audiobook version, and a video training with Dr. Reese. Go to peaceoverpain.com and start reading or listening right now. This is the information you've been praying for.
Now, why does it always do that? Anyway, all right, so we're back. So Kevin,
Yeah.
You stirred up a little controversy this week from some older things that kind of went on. First thing, you, as a lot of people know, you used to be a radio DJ.
Yeah.
And you used to interview celebrities who would come into the studio and, do their appearances. And you did one with the game about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And somebody actually, because the game, well, why don't you explain it? 15 years ago, you asked the game and he said Eminem was the greatest rapper, hands down, right?
Yeah. So now, and I don't follow hip hop anymore, but from what my understanding is that the game, the rapper, has a problem with Eminem now, and he released like a diss record. So that's what's hot for this week in hip hop. And what happened is my interview with Game resurfaced, and it went viral on all the blogs and all the World Star and Vlad and all that stuff. And so old Kevin from 15 years ago is back out there, resurfacing. And so people were texting me and, sending me messages. And so I just addressed it on Instagram. and just put that out there.
Yeah, you got some comments on it. We'll go over that in a second. The second thing, Kevin, you're causing trouble on Instagram again. People are getting mad at you. And this time it is about oil oxidation. I guess you put up a post talking about oil oxidation and how, how to do the same thing we talk about here on the air. And you got a lot of people. And I think me and Amber both told you that oil was the hardest thing out of the poor four to give up. So I guess a lot of people feel that way too. So I wanted to start with, first of all, a comment that we got from a user on IG. She's called Shock to the Core, I guess. And it's so difficult with chronic shock to the core on IG. It's so difficult with chronic pain, to be honest. It turns you into a different person. I get mad making a cup of coffee. I get mad trying to reach my feet to wash them in the shower. I get mad no matter which position I lay in or sit in bed because I'm riddled with immense pain. I can't enjoy music. My days are literally just in a horrific mood because of the pain. I try to meditate. I can't silence my thoughts because of the pain. Kind of gave up trying a while ago, tried everything. It's like living in purgatory every day of your life. What should be my first step?
First step is get off the poor four foods while you're reading the Peace Over Pain book.
Right.
So that you can gain the understanding of what needs to happen. This person is suffering. And so they need to choose peace over pain. And it's a decision. You know, one of the things that we're really trying to go for with this clinic is for people to date us. Like, vet me, date me. Don't just jump into marriage with me. Okay. Read the book. Watch these podcasts every week. Do all the free stuff that we give you. Do the N rays, do the P rays, do all the free stuff. And then maybe sign up for our 120-day program or what have you. But some people, they get into so much pain and discomfort. They want the magic pill. And they're like, what should I do? Tell me what to do. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, you need to date us. So read the book.
Yeah, we already said the first step here is change your diet right away. Now, she doesn't say if it's gut pain or, I mean, it sounds like she's got pain all over. So she definitely has something going on, and she should definitely, like you say, start with the book. It's free. Join the group.
And if you don't like reading, listen to it.
Yeah, we have the audio book. You get that free too. So, and just try it, man. But first thing first, change the diet. All right. So this guy is Taylor on IG. This says you mentioned using non-GMO corn in a supplement. I don't get this one. It says, but why do you need corn at all?
So in the supplement industry, we need to stabilize the chemistry. There's a lot of chemistry going into a capsule or a powder, or whatever it is. And so we use what's called fillers. They're needed in order to stabilize the chemistry. And corn is one of those ingredients. Rice flour is another one of the ingredients. So what we use, our dispensary, what they do is they search for the best ingredients they can find. So we go to Europe to get non-GMO corn. We go to Canada to get low arsenic rice, things like this. But there needs to be fillers, or it's just not going to be tasty, or it's not going to. It's funny. Some people don't like the taste of the essential drink. Like they hate it. And I say to myself, can you imagine if there was no fillers in there?
Yeah.
It would not.
No flavoring.
It would not taste good.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So
and people need to know there's a pill version. There's a pill version of everything. If you don't like to drink, there's a pill version. I know it's not as effective, but there is a pill version. So if you don't like it, You can try that.
Yep.
So, okay. So that makes sense. And we talked about GMO corn on another episode, that if you look at a lot of your foods, you'll see corn in there used as a filler. So it's not just used in supplements. It's used in many foods, and it has been for decades.
Corn and rice thicken things because it's starchy.
Right. Cornstarch, right? That's where it comes from. Okay, well, that makes sense. All right. You say no oil. Then what do I use to cook?
Who's asking?
Oh, Dallas Michael Sear on IG.
Okay. Well, you use ghee is the best thing to cook with. But I mean, you can use regular butter as well. Some people say coconut oil. I don't agree. But you want to stay away from oils. But the thing is, you see, I don't use anything. And if I don't use anything, then you don't have to use anything. What would you need to use oil or butter for to cook? For what?
The only thing I could think of, okay.
Eggs.
Eggs.
Is the only thing I can think of. And I cook my eggs so quick because I do soft scrambled that I don't need anything.
No, you can use water. People don't understand. You could scramble eggs with water. And I use my eggs poached. So I agree with you. Poached or hard boiled. I only boil my eggs. But also, the only thing I could think of that people use oil for is making sauces. You know what I mean? Mama's spaghetti sauce or whatever. You always saute the onions, you saute the garlic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come out the same in ghee. Obviously it doesn't.
And luckily, I don't promote sauces. Yesterday, I had my adopted nephew over and we had delicious ribs. And he really liked them. But the big aha moment was there's no barbecue sauce. Most people lather ribs with barbecue sauce and whatnot, or dry rub, and then they do all this and that. I put it right in the pressure cooker with salt. And that's it. And so when you cook your meat in the pressure cooker, there's no need for sauces.
It makes its own sauce.
You don't want sauce. It's so good. It's so tender. All you're looking for is salt, maybe some pepper,
right?
Maybe a clove of garlic.
Right. Spices, though, I mean, you can add any spices you want. You want rosemary, add rosemary. It doesn't matter. But right, you don't need anything. And I agree. When you eat a burger, right, you just throw that burger on the grill. There's no sauce. Except the ketchup. But yeah, I agree. So you don't really need oil to cook that many things.
None at all, really.
Well,
if you're making, let's just say some ground beef.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you have ground beef and it's already defrosted.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably don't want to put that in the pressure cooker because the pressure cooker is a big Magilla. And, it's great for frozen. Okay, you got a cast iron skillet. You want to make some ground beef. All right, throw a teaspoon of ghee in there.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal. That's
right.
Okay. Just don't burn it. Don't burn it. Anytime you burn anything, you start seeing black or brown, you're heading down the wrong path. You're going towards
smoke.
Free radical damage. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing with the oil, and I did some research after seeing these questions, is that a lot of people don't understand. The oil oxidates, and this happens with motor oil too, people. This is why you have to change your oil, because the motor oil oxidizes. So this has a lot to do with what you just said, the heat factor. And like you say, a lot of these commercial oils you buy, they don't start out oxidized when they go into the bottle. But between getting from the place they started to your place, they've probably gone through about 5 different temperature changes.
Yep.
Like here, I'm in the Caribbean. It's warm. That oil gets warm on the shelf. That's what starts the oxidation process. And it happens mostly in oils with unsaturated fats. All these oils we're talking about, corn oil, vegetable oil, all have unsaturated fats, and that's why it oxidizes.
Yeah.
So the reason ghee, butter, and even lard, like you said, you can use because of the burn. They do not oxidize because they have saturated fats.
And how crazy is this, Joe, that again, we're right back to the baby boomer generation. You guys, because you're right on the cusp of the baby boomer, right?
Yep.
You guys were programmed. No saturated fat, no saturated fat, no saturated fat, no salt, no salt, no saturated fat. They tried to get you off animal products and onto Crisco and olive oil and all that.
Oh, that's all my mother used to cook with. You know what I mean? And that just stuff is processed. You want to talk about heating? You want to talk about heating up oil, all the pasteurization they do to it, that right there, they'll oxidize it right in the factory. They don't even realize it. And then one thing I did want to add is the reason they say coconut oil is probably safe is because it is the only other oil with saturated fat. That is base saturated fat.
The problem with coconut oil, and if anyone ever does oil pulling, which
right,
coconut oil is famous for, then it's solid, and then it liquidizes. Then it gets solid, then it liquidizes. So it keeps changing too much for my liking.
Right. And it does have it has the highest burn spot of any oil. Yeah. And it makes me happy because I make a lot of edibles with that. So anyway, they use either butter or coconut oil. So let's get to the next question.
But that's okay because in the factory, because that's like our EFAs, our gel cap EFAs obviously have fish oil in them, which can oxidize. But in the factory, they're getting them into the gel cap quick.
Yeah.
So now it's there. So, like I said on Instagram this week with the clip, which was just a clip from my interview with Nancy Barrow that triggered people, is it's not oil that's bad.
No,
it's the air and the heat changing the chemistry of it.
Right. And that's what we just said. And like we said, it even happens with motor oil. That's why you have to change it, because it heats up and eventually it oxidizes and becomes less viscous. So, and look, after I saw these questions, I went and looked it up on the internet. Everything confirmed what you said, the reasons why. So people can fight and complain about olive oil all they want, but it makes a lot of sense. And Kevin, remember, fish oil probably does have saturated fat. Because it's an animal oil. So it probably does not oxidize the same way that other oils would. Now, here's a couple, Kevin, these are more comments. I don't even know if you want to address this. This woman, Kaden Hansen, says, it's irritating to us that you don't answer back when we prove you wrong. Why? So when did you get proved wrong?
Well, I know who you're talking about, and this, I think it's a guy. He was all on me this week, and he was writing 3-paragraph things underneath my post and saying you're wrong because of this. So, the first thing you have to understand is you're not proving me wrong. You're proving that you have an opinion.
Right.
Right. And the second thing is, if you get agitated, then I'm not answering you. There's something there, right? Something maybe you have to work on with yourself. I am answering. I'm answering it right here. Why would I answer it on Instagram? I don't have a desire to sit there on my phone and play all day.
You don't need flame wars on the internet.
This is why we do a live podcast. And I think I mentioned this last episode, but you can't play the gotcha game with me because I'm transparent. I say everything. And there's a big Kevin Reese rabbit hole out there that anyone can go down. And you can listen to 140, 150 episodes of Inner Peace with Dr. Reese, which is, some of them are like my diary. I mean, I spew everything. There's nothing hidden with me. So if you want to judge me off of a 1 minute clip on Instagram, that's on you. But there's millions of hours of footage or audio of Kevin Reese out there that you can get to know me and you can understand what's happening with me or whatnot, and where all this is manifesting. But a 1 minute clip on Instagram, that's what's hot right now. So that's what we're putting out, 1 minute clips. But it's designed to trigger you or make you think, or make you go, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat oil, or make you go, oh, you're an idiot and you're wrong because olive oil is healthy. Whatever your opinion is, it's okay. But don't get agitated. My gosh, if you're getting agitated because I'm not responding to you, I mean, am I going to catch you on my Ring camera in my front yard? I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah. No, I got some good advice because I was having issues too, being trolled. It was, don't feed the trolls, and your haters are actually your biggest fans, because they actually.
I think he got agitated too because I kept sending him a heart emoji, because I love it. I love that this person disagreed with me. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I do the same
thing. I'm laughing because I love all their comments.
When I came into this, when I launched Peace Over Pain, I already know that it's going to be misunderstood. I already know there's going to be a demographic of people that just don't like what I'm saying or don't like me. Then that's okay. I'm perfectly kosher with that.
Yeah, why not? I mean, like they say, I'd rather have them talking about you. You know what I mean? At least they're talking about you, right? So, and that's the thing. Obviously, when you're saying something that goes against the medical monopoly or the established, the establishment, you're going to get flack because people are set in that system. They're programmed into that system. You're screwing around with their reality, basically. What my doctor told me was wrong. Oh my God, I trusted him, and screws him up. When you wake up, right? What happens? On a deeper level, when you really wake up, what happens? You're like, I can't believe I've been bamboozled. I can't believe I've been scammed. And people don't want to recognize that it's coming from what you thought was an authority. But we're getting close to the end of the show. You got anything you wanted to say? Something real there?
One guy underneath the game video asked me if I make more money
scamming nutrition than in entertainment, right?
Yeah.
I saw that. That was the last question. I was going to get to that, but we didn't. But we know this is not a scam. You got two people here, right, that it works for. And we're not saying it's cheap. It's not a scam.
I know Ryan Alexander, our affiliate over at Wallach's Warriors, he goes to this all the time too. And, people attack him. And, oh, you're scamming people selling vitamins. Anyone that says vitamins is already wrong because that's only 16 of 90. Right. There's only 16 vitamins. So, it's a minimization. It's, oh, you think you can cure everything with vitamins, And the thing is, and Ryan says this all the time too, is that if it was a scam, we wouldn't still be in business.
Yeah, you can look, I looked up longevity. I looked it up on the internet. They have a great reputation. They said some of the highest quality products out there. So, I mean, you can look it up. People, this is the wonderful thing about the internet. You got questions, look it up. Longevity's been in business a while. There's tons of stuff out there. But we're almost out of time, Kevin. This has been a great show. Please like us, follow us on all social media, including YouTube, including Spotify. We're all over the place. You got any last words before we sign off, Kevin?
If anyone wants a free nutrition exam or posture exam, it's available to you. Go to peaceoverpain.com or contact Coach Amber in the Facebook group, and let's get it done.
All right. That's great. We'll see you all next Saturday, 10 a.m. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thanks for watching the Peace Over Pain podcast live inside our clinic's Facebook group. Be sure to submit a question or comment for next week's show at peaceoverpain.com. Also, perform some goodwill and tell a friend in pain that you found their solution. Refer them to the Peace Over Pain podcast and the Peace Over Pain book and help them move closer to their miracle.